Good afternoon, everyone. This is Michelle Garces Cotto, and today I'm going to share to you about skill acquisition theory in the field of second language acquisition. So, skill acquisition theory is not just a theory of the development of language, rather, it is a general theory of learning ranging from cognitive to psychomotor skills, and that's according to Ms. Guasca, Weirtelak, and Pollack in 2012. So in this theory, in skill acquisition theory in general is one of the several competing theories of how learners learn a new language from cognitive to psychomotor skills, wherein learners' skilled behavior in any areas can become routinized or even automatic, but under certain conditions. So we have here a quick background of this theory. The scientific roots of skill acquisition theory can be found in different branches of psychology, which ranges from behaviorism to cognitivism and connectionism, and that's according to De Keyser and Criado in 2013. This theory draws on Anderson's adaptive control of thought, or what we call the ACT model, which itself is a kind of cognitive stimulus response theory. That's according to Ellis and Shintani in 2013. So we have here this ACT model, or adaptive control of thought model. This theory distinguishes the declarative knowledge from the procedural knowledge, wherein this declarative knowledge involves knowledge about facts and things, like knowledge of facts and concepts, such as, let's say, for example, a fact that adjective agrees with some other words in the sentence. And if we are going to talk about this procedural knowledge, it is a knowledge about how to perform actions, or knowing how to do things in certain situations, like understand and speak a language. So that's the ACT model, or ACT model. Next, we have here this diagram. As mentioned by Fisher in 2009, this skill acquisition theory is a neo-Piagetian theory that amalgamates or merges, or what we call combine elements of both cognitive and behavioristic theories, wherein we can see here that that language learning as a cognitive process has the concept of universal grammar, which explains the natural developmental sequence and the language acquisition device in the mind. So that's from the cognitivist. The second concept is this interlanguage, which is the learner's language before it reaches reasonable level of proficiency. Next, we have here the restructuring, which explain the adjustment of new knowledge with the old knowledge in the mind. Then they look up the implicit and explicit knowledge and concluded that many features can be learned implicitly if learners notice them in the input. And we also need explicit learning to go beyond the plateau, which we can reach with implicit learning. And if we are going to talk about this behavioristic approach here, language learning is a matter of conditioning by means of imitation. If we can still remember with the behaviorist, it involves with reinforcement and habit form. So next we have here the connection of skill acquisition theory according to Chappell in 2009. This theory falls under the category of general human learning, which focuses on language learning as a process of human learning. So in other words, this theory, or learning a second language in view of the skill acquisition theory, is considered to be like learning any other skill. Let's say, for example, in learning how to play a guitar or a piano. So learners must know first the basic about those skills. Then later on, constant practice in playing it until it will become automatic. So advocates of such theories consider practice to play the key role in learning. So next we have here some definition of skill. So integrated sets of behavior learned through practice and made up of sub-skills that are learned separately to come together and constitute skilled performance, like writing a paragraph, which includes brainstorming for ideas, writing a topic sentence, writing supporting sentences, writing a concluding sentences, editing, and among others. So according to the skill acquisition theory, we can break down the skill into sub-skills and then train learners into sub-skills so they can combine together every sub-skill to constitute a skill performance. So it should be noted that skills are divided into two levels, the lower and the higher level. So we are going to check here what are these two levels of skills. So as what I've mentioned, the lower and higher. So if we're going to talk about the lower level of skills, so it involves handwriting, typing, or writing sentences. So these are learned first before moving on to higher language or higher level skills, so which involves coherence and cohesion or editing. Then language learning as skill-based process initially skills are consciously managed and controlled by the learner. So in here, when learners are trained in different skills, they manage and control skills initially. Then with practice, these skills become automatic. So which is in the next slide. So over time, they become automatic and do not require conscious attention. And Learning involves development from controlled to automatic processing with feedback. So with more practice, this skill will become automatic over time, like what they say, that constant practice makes perfect. But then again, since according to this theory, practice is the key to making skills automatized, and it should also be noticed that feedback is an essential element during practice to help learners improve their performance. So feedback is really important. And performance-based learning. In this performance-based learning, we learn a language to perform social actions in the real world, not as an abstract system in mind. So some researchers from the same school of thought in the skill acquisition theory and second language acquisition look at language learning from the perspective of performance. So they believe that we learn a language to perform social actions in the real world, not as an abstract system in mind. And so they stress the importance of performance in language learning. Next, we have here development of language ability through participation in social activities like answering a telephone, ordering food, or etc. So they believe that we learn a language when we participate in some social activities like answering, like those activities mentioned, even ordering food, or even when buying something at the store. We learn language from that. Then learning involves different repertoire of performance to be used in situations. So when we keep on practicing such events, those activities, we then develop a repertoire of performance which we can use in a specific situations. So the last bullet here, we have through practice our performance becomes more skillful over time. So through practice our performance is like being automatized, like unconsciously we're doing it because we are used to doing it, since we keep on repeating it because of that practice that we're doing over time. And so we have used some criticisms of the skill acquisition theory. Lack of an operational definition undermines the skill acquisition theory. Although some attempts has been made, but still there is no unanimously agreed upon operational definition of the basic concepts in this theory, such as skill, practice, or automatization. According to Ellis and Shintani in 2013, this theory provides a rationale for the strong interface position. This position holds that explicit knowledge can be transformed into implicit knowledge through the process of automatization, which is a consequence of practice. So therefore, it seems that this theory has not considered the important role which is played by the affective factors in the process of learning. So considering this point and scarcity of research on skill acquisition theory in second language acquisition, there is still a room for more merits or demerits to be revealed in the future. Thank you for listening and have a great day.